Long ago, a higher being was born in the core of the Earth, and then the meteors attacked. Soon, the Earth began to grow life as men overtook the planet with their weapons and war. Eventually came the nuclear bomb, and the being decided that the Earth must be cleansed. Then, for some reason, somebody shoots himself. In Korea 1953, a ceasefire was just signed and the US Air Forces celebrate. Suddenly, enemy ships fire at them. They must not have heard the news. They expertly maneuver and get rid of them. But another ship fires at Hal Jordan and his plane goes down. He ejects the plane and parachutes his way down right on an enemy soldier. After throwing a flare, he gets attacked by the soldier who doesn't know that the war's over. Finally, Hal is forced to blow his head off. Meanwhile, in Gotham City Observatory, a dying scientist is apologizing to the Martian Manhunter for accidentally teleporting him from Mars to Earth. He assumes his identity before laying him to rest. The next year in Indochina, Superman is flying above when he makes his way toward Wonder Woman, joining in celebrations with the Vietnamese. They pull their guns on him, but Wonder Woman explains that these women were beaten for helping the French in the war. Wonder Woman saved them, but the women killed all the men, while Wonder Woman stood by and watched. Superman is mad about this and says that this is not the way, but Wonder Woman is an extreme feminist, so she kicks him out. Back in Gotham, Wonder Woman is celebrated in the papers as Martian Manhunter continues to live the scientist's life. He sure loves his soda pop and his afternoon specials as he transforms into what he's watching. The same night, Superman is venting to Lois about Wonder Woman's actions. He blames McCarthy for everything that's wrong, and Lois urges Superman to be a leader. Meanwhile in Las Vegas, Hal is gambling away while his luck is hot. As that is happening, the casino boss is hitting on Iris West while she interviews him. Barry Allen is home watching a boxing fight when Iris calls him to tell him she misses him. Suddenly, there is a frosty explosion and Captain Cold breaks in. The boss gets frozen, followed by Iris's hand, and Barry quickly whips out his suit. He flashes through to Vegas and quickly unfreezes her hand. Then, he sets his sights on Captain Cold, who warns him that if he touches him, 6 bombs around the city will go off. He quickly rounds up 5 of them, but can't find the last. After strapping them to a giant balloon, he hurries to catch Captain Cold before he can escape. His chopper crashes, and Barry tells him that the 6th bomb was just a wild goose chase. Suddenly, Captain Cold's voice changes, and the higher being speaks through him before quickly coming back. His gun implodes and he gets frozen as Flash is celebrated by the people. He takes off, and in the distance, Hal is driving like a madman along his plan. Hal tells his friend Ace that the war changed him, and it's made him reckless. They reach their destination and Ace takes Hal to his second chance. Martian Manhunter is still watching TV and assumes the role of a detective. Meanwhile, Hal is being interviewed and hits on the interviewee. He then reveals to her that he used to be in the psych ward, but it helped him learn a lot about himself. John Jones is now a detective, and looking into a case, using his powers to his advantage. He finds Batman battling a cult to save a child as he hands the goons a vicious beating. He steps in to help, but the carpets catch fire, and John is now frozen in fear. A man is just about to sacrifice the child, but Batman quickly grabs him while John's partner puts out the fire. The boy gets scared of Batman, and he vanishes with the mist. Suddenly, the higher being speaks through the cult and tells them that they will all be judged. Later on, Hal is about to be dropped into an exercise, and they drop him at an insane speed underwater. He comes out fine, but they're sick of his attitude. Carol meets Hal and he continues to hit on her. Back inside, they check his numbers, but they're excellent. As they drive back, Hal is asking Carol where they're going. She says she's taking him to the stars and takes him to a secret operation, where they go through a hole in the ground. They climb down to a platform and continue to go deeper, where he finds an entire government operation. Faraday is waiting for them below to explain the rocket program, but he doesn't seem to like Hal. They go through a private door, and Faraday explains that they found the body of the scientist who contacted Mars. They also found a footprint but never found the person it belonged to. Finally, they tell Hal what they want from him. They want him to fly to Mars on board their latest rocket. Back with the Martian, Batman waits for him at his house. He tells him that the cult is related to the higher being called the Center, and it's spreading. Batman thought it was the communists, but they're having trouble with the cult as well. They want to work together, but Batman delivers a chilling warning before heading out.
All I need is a penny for a book of matches.
The next morning, Grodd is attacking the city, and both he and Flash are knocked out. Some agents capture the Flash and tell him he's government property before he phases and escapes. In the night, John is investigating the cult before taking a look at a suspect. He's a scientist who's gone insane. He tells John that the center is everywhere and that it talks to him. He also reveals that the government is going to Mars, and just then, Faraday comes to retrieve the suspect so he doesn't leak any more information. John reads Faraday's mind and finds out everything about the mission. Later on in the news, a vigilante is killed by white supremacists, and Flash tells the people that the government is coming after superheroes, so he is deciding to quit. John listens in and goes home following the news, and meanwhile, Batman is looking at the news. John sneaks from behind him and hands him all the information he has, deciding to quit and leave the hatred on Earth behind. Aboard the Mars mission, they get ready to depart with the rocket. Martian Manhunter quickly sneaks inside the rocket, and Faraday spots him on the cameras. He pulls out a gun on him, but the Martian quickly knocks him out before saving both of them from the fire. With that, the trip is underway, but the Martian missed his flight. They enter space, but the engines give out, and they begin to crash. They can't turn back because they have nuclear weapons on board and want to blow the Martians. Hal knocks out his co-pilot and turns back, but Carol didn't know about the weapons and slaps Faraday. Faraday calls in the big guy while Hal and his co-pilot fight on board. He ejects the hatch while they're crashing, but Hal hangs onto him until he's set on fire and crashes out. Superman comes to the rescue to save him, but not in time before the co-pilot self-destructs the rocket. In the distance, they find Superman flying back with Hal, and Carol welcomes him with open arms. Martian Manhunter is imprisoned. Superman confronts Faraday and tells him to trust the Martian. Meanwhile, Wonder Woman is back home training with the Amazonians. She says that things have changed in America and that everyone thinks they're right now. The Amazonian then starts attacking her, challenging her throne, but she's no match for Wonder Woman. Suddenly, a mysterious figure towers above them. Back with Hal, everything starts to descend into chaos as a bright green flash overcomes them. Carol finds a trail, and Hal has been taken on a ride. His ship crashes in the canyons, and he slides down to find a dying lantern. He calls Hal by name and tells him of the Green Lantern Corps. He was coming to help with the center, which intends to eradicate every living soul on the planet. He ordered his ring to find a man without fear, and it found Hal. The ring gets charged and given to Hal before the lantern dies. Meanwhile, Superman is with Batman as he tells Robin to do his homework. They discuss stories inside a children's book and hear on the radio of monsters coming straight out of the book. Superman gets there but is smacked. He chains the dragon and ties it up before finding a plane zooming by. It's Wonder Woman covered in blood, and Wonder Woman tells Superman of a monster they fought, but it is coming. Back with the Martian, he's playing chess with Faraday, trying to beat him without reading his mind. He can tell that Faraday is a good person deep down. A message comes in from Washington regarding the center, and Faraday asks for his help. Then Martian Manhunter changes his look. Meanwhile, Hal makes it out of the canyon and finds news of the center wreaking destruction, and Hal's ring begins to glow. Barry tells Iris that he is the Flash, but she already knows. She tells him not to quit being the Flash to protect her, encouraging him to join the fight. Hal goes back to the base and has decided to join the fight. Everyone is doubting him, but he is determined and kisses Carol goodbye before leaving. Flash gets to base where everyone has assembled, but everyone is tense. Superman claps some sense into them before telling them all that Earth is on the line. He says that uniforms need to trust capes. Faraday comes in to finalize the peace, and everyone is now on board. Superman flies in for recon and reaches the center, but it is swarming with monsters. They gang up on him, but he deals with them before getting blasted back by the center. He is declared dead, and no one can find him. Lois tearfully delivers the news and breaks down. They study the book for its content, and in the face of despair, Batman arrives with Ray Palmer. They decide to shrink the center. They're going to launch an assault and shrink it, which will make it explode. Hal arrives and says that they need to fly inside it with bombs to keep it distracted. The next morning, they set out, the final hope for mankind's survival. Ace and Hal board the jets and fly off. Meanwhile, Faraday gives out final instructions. but mini-dragons hatch out from inside the big one and start to invade. Martian Manhunter is affected by something and crumbles, and Faraday helps him. They launch the assault and deal with dinos left and right, and Batman is up there with the Batplane being swarmed. He electrocutes them while the Russians come to aid, and the rest of the heroes deal with the situation. Faraday brings the Martian back, but it begins attacking him. The center is taking over his mind. Faraday gets grabbed, and he goes out like the ultimate badass, blowing up a dino with him. Finally, Martian Manhunter has had enough. Wonder Woman is back as well, and urges everyone to fight. The Air Force enters the center and they begin firing inside. In there, they find an entire solar system and start to see things. They continue deeper and drop off nuclear bombs, but it might be too late as they get swallowed. Suddenly, the Guardians talk to Hal, and his ring is activated. He turns into the Green Lantern and starts ripping up inside. He saves Ace as the bombs go off and protects him inside while they get out. Back on shore, Flash is doubting himself, but he sets off running to the center. He covers every bit of it with the device so that it is completely covered in it before his body finally gives out. Wonder Woman and the Martian save him, but the center is self-destructing or something. Green Lantern goes out there one more time to cover it. The center explodes, and the threat is finally over, and Hal celebrates. In the aftermath, something starts glowing out of the water. An advanced ship arrives on shore, and inside is Aquaman carrying Superman back. Lois runs to him as Wonder Woman lifts Flash up in the air. The heroes rejoice as the day is finally saved. Later on, the Justice League is formed. As Lex watches from afar in disdain, Flash gets awarded a medal by JFK, and the Justice League begins its adventures. The heroes of tomorrow arrive as they deal with future villains, but they deal with it together. Long live the Justice League. This was an origin story of the Justice League in a different Earth. It felt like a golden age story with the animation and the heroism of all the characters. Even the government wasn't crooked. We have to admit, though, the fact that every single hero in this film held an equal role was really good to see. It is the most realistic depiction of a Justice League, so to speak. Even Batman wasn't battling Ultra Aliens. He was only using his mind. Green Lantern was just as important as Superman and Flash, and they finally gave Martian Manhunter his props. Well, this brings us to the end of today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel to get more videos like this one. Your support helps us grow. And tell me what you think about this film. Do you love seeing origin stories of heroes and teams? Do you prefer classic, older styles of animation? Or do you like the newer and more realistic styles? Let me know in the comments below. I read all of them. And if you're watching till now, thank you. I'll see you in another video soon.